everyone. Hi, welcome. I am so excited for all of you to be here. I'm Casey Renee Rogers, accountability coach, and today we're going to break down the power of a well-crafted morning routine in order to prevent burnout, supercharge productivity, and master the art of personal accountability. So raise your hand if you've ever tried to go on a diet. Doesn't have to be anything crazy like the Whole30 or intermittent fasting, but maybe it was just reducing carbs, cutting out beer, something like that. Okay, seeing a couple hands. And you can be honest, we're all friends here. I promise I've been on way more embarrassing diets than any of you in here. Okay, so how many of you were able to sustain that diet for, let's say, over 2 weeks? Okay, a little less hands. And what about a year? Okay. What about 5 years? Oh, yeah. Okay. So diets are hard, right? So I grew up as a singer and dancer, and I can tell you personally that I've been on some pretty insane diets trying to stay slim and supposedly healthy. You know, I did the whole Special K and skim milk thing for 2 meals a day. I was on a raw vegan diet. I even took these little diet pills called Ally that would, well, let's just say they did weird things to your number two, and they got recalled in 2014. But here's the thing. No matter what diet it was or how motivated I felt, I could never stick with them. I'd be really good for a period of time and then I'd fall off the wagon. And then, of course, I'd hate myself for falling off the wagon, which would only encourage me to think, well, screw it. I've already messed it all up. So I might as well go and gorge myself on a quart of froyo because YOLO, you know? And then I'd gain a bunch of weight and I'd feel extra crappy. And then I'd do it all over again. But all the while thinking this time it would work because this time I felt motivated. So most of us have at least a few of these stories in our back pocket of some sad botched attempt at self-betterment, whether it was a diet, a budget plan, a new side business, a hobby, or an overly ambitious fitness routine. Sometimes we laugh about these failures, sometimes we cry about them, but one thing is for certain, nearly all of us got them. But why? Why is it so hard to better ourselves in substantial and lasting ways? Is it just that we're lazy? Too quick to procrastinate, too unmotivated? You know, we scroll through Instagram and we see all these successful, obnoxiously happy people in their oversized hipster hats with their salads and their tropical beach vacations. And here we are procrastinating on Instagram and we're just left wondering, how do I get a piece of that? What do these people know about life that I don't? Now, when it comes to the question of how to pull off a wide-brimmed hipster hat, you're on your own. However, I can speak to this other thing. This thing that looks like happiness and success and quote unquote, living your best life. This thing that ensures you follow through on that diet, on that side business, that hobby, that budget, that thing that seems to create limitless joy and health and achievement. What is this thing? It's not motivation. It's not genetics. It's not Special K, unless of course there's a Special K rep in the room looking for influencers, in which case it's definitely Special K. No, it's something much more simple than all of that. It's accountability to self. Now, here is a crazy statistic. 92% of people fail to follow through on their New Year's resolutions. 92%. That's insane and so demoralizing. But fear not, because today we're going to take a deep dive into what the other 8% of resolvers get right. We'll walk through what it takes to get accountable to yourself. And by the end of this workshop, you'll walk away with a plan of action to make all your goals a reality this year. And it all starts with a well-crafted morning routine that trains you to become accountable to yourself. So here's what we'll cover today. We'll talk about inner accountability and why it's truly the key to goal implementation and getting anything you want in life. We'll break down the 5-step 30-minute morning routine that boosts productivity, halts procrastination, and trains you to become fully accountable to yourself. We'll talk about the biggest reason most people fail to follow through on their New Year's resolutions. We'll dissect the secrets of willpower, motivation, self-discipline. And finally, if you can stick around to the end, I have a special holiday gift for you just for showing up today. Okay, so while 92% of folks will give up on their New Year's resolutions, usually by around mid-March, 8% of the population will succeed. And for those who do succeed, it all starts with this thing called inner accountability. Being accountable to yourself, that kind of inner resolve that allows you to not just make goals and resolutions, but to follow through on them, whatever they may be. Accountability to self is really the key to getting what you want from life, be it success, happiness, health, or all of the above. While that may sound hyperbolic, studies show a direct link between inner accountability and top performance in nearly all areas of life, from professional achievement to physical fitness. It's sometimes known as self efficacy, and this particular character quality positively influences professional success, cognitive skill learning, athletic performance, assertiveness, goal achievement, and even one's ability to recover from heart attack. Self efficacy also positively affects overall well being, resilience, parenting, pain tolerance, and the ability to cope with feared events. If internal accountability was something you could bottle and sell, I guarantee you people would pay millions for it. Side note, I looked into it, you can. But here's the good news: inner accountability already exists inside you. It's just a matter of coaxing it out and pumping it up. How? Well, like anything else that's worth having, you're going to have to work for it. Inner accountability is like a muscle, and the more you build it up, the stronger and more ironclad it becomes. And here's another little bit of good news for you: the fact that you showed up today actually means a lot. It tells me that you're already highly
Uh,
capable in the accountability department. There are a lot of people who signed up that did not show up.
I don't think the
You
punchline
guys
in that is
did.
the question.
That says something about you. P.S. If your microphone is on, if you would mind just silencing it, that would be awesome. Although I do kind of love hearing the sighs and the oohs and the ahs. But anyway, moving on. So basically, you gave your word to yourself today that you would come here and you followed through. You did it. That is accountability right there. It also tells me that you have a growth mindset as opposed to a set or a fixed mindset, meaning that you're solutions oriented and capable of keeping the type of open mind that's necessary for growth and change. So, congrats. You're already that much closer to your quote unquote a best life. So, now that I know a little bit about you, here's a little bit about me. So, as you probably already know, I'm an accountability coach and the founder of Health on the Rocks. I'm a New York City based ICF accredited life coach, an MBTI practitioner, that's the Myers Briggs type indicator, a certified health coach, and a cognitive behavioral facilitator. But what I really do is I help folks get to the root cause of what's preventing them from following through on their goals. I train people to become accountable to themselves so they can be happier, healthier, and more effective in everything they do. And today, you're going to get a little taste of that so you can make 2021 your best year yet. But real quick, so sometimes there's this thing I do when I'm on Zoom calls where I'm sort of listening, but I'm also kind of answering emails and ordering stuff on Amazon. And I can tell you firsthand that I end up missing the majority of the content and it makes the whole thing totally pointless. So I request that you minimize all your other windows and you put your phone either across the room or on airplane mode. I mean, this is a workshop about personal accountability. After all, if you can't hold yourself accountable to paying attention for 30 minutes, investing just 30 minutes in yourself and your future, well, I got nothing for you. Okay, so now that I have your full and undivided attention, let's talk about making this next year of your life totally and utterly awesome, productive, healthy, focused, serene, the year that you become fully accountable to following through on all the things you say you want to do. Free from procrastination, from not getting enough sleep, from stress, from overwhelm, from crappy food choices, from lost time mindlessly scrolling. But first, let's get real for a sec. Behavior change is hard. I'm not going to pretend it's not. That's why most people simply don't do it. They break promises to themselves like breadsticks at Olive Garden. They say they're going to do something, like wake up earlier, and then they hit the snooze button and snooze away another day, another week, another year of their lives, replacing hopeful resolutions and happy goals with deferred dreams and botched plans. And this is where things can get very dangerous very quickly. If there is one thing 2020 has taught us, it's that we cannot take anything for granted. Not our health, not our family, not our friends or coworkers, or even our freedom. Life is precious and short, and there's simply no way to know how much of it you've got left. If you don't start living it now, it's possible you never will. I mean, if you really think about it, now is kind of all you have. It's all you can rely on. So if there's anything you want from this brief, fleeting life, now is the time to go for it. Because just as you had no idea what was coming for you January of last year, you have no idea what lies ahead. If left unattended, your goals to improve your health, change careers, and travel the world can easily turn into failing health, deferred dreams, and a sad subscription to National Geographic. It's like the old saying goes: life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. So yes, behavior change is hard, no way around it, but it's worth it. Oh, got some feedback. And we're putting all of our microphones on silent. And I think we did it. Yay. Thanks, guys. Okay. So behavior change. It's just, it's hard. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But again, it's worth it because it's the difference between exactly where you are right now and exactly where you want to be in life. So, as Aristotle once said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. So, let's habituate excellence. Let's habituate the act of showing up as the best version of ourselves. Let's stop procrastinating and start sharing everything we have to offer with the world each and every day of this coming year. You with me, guys? Okay. So now let's get to the morning routine. This 5-step, 30-minute morning routine based on leading research in the fields of cognitive science, mindfulness, and time management will ensure that you're able to show up for your goals each and every day of the coming year. It's been carefully crafted to get you prioritized, focused, and into a state of creative flow that will lay the foundation for optimal productivity all day long. It's 30 minutes, 5 steps, and a total game changer because what it secretly does is it gets you in the habit of being accountable to yourself. It strengthens your accountability muscles, and in doing so, it habituates excellence. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to try out this morning routine as an experiment for the next 3 weeks and track your results. I recommend performing this routine 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, which will increase your chances of turning it into a habit, which in turn will make it feel effortless and totally second nature. Eventually, you won't even have to think about it. You'll just do it. Second nature. But just a quick heads up. The first few days may feel a bit tough or a little awkward, but I encourage you to push through and stay the course because if you can stay consistent for these 3 short weeks, not only will you begin to notice yourself becoming more productive and present, you'll also be on your way to habituating the life changing practice of inner accountability. Okay, step one, I call this cheers the day. So the routine starts by drinking 16 to 32 ounces of water and preparing your quote ritual beverage, i.e., a cup of coffee or another caffeinated beverage such as black tea, matcha, or espresso. If you're sensitive to caffeine or you have a medical condition, you can instead opt for some hot water with lemon, which is a common Ayurvedic practice and will certainly do the trick. Otherwise, a nice hot cup of caffeinated goodness will energize you for the routine ahead. So I've done quite a bit of research on caffeine, and I personally believe that the benefits far outweigh any negative side effects. While overconsumption of caffeine can certainly be pretty unhealthy, moderate consumption, such as a medium-sized cup of coffee in the morning, i.e. around 200 milligrams or less, has been shown to boost brain function, decrease fatigue, increase mental alertness, and help maintain a healthy body weight. Not to mention antioxidants. So in short, go for the caffeine if it's your thing. Plus, the magic combination of water and caffeine will improve your performance and jumpstart your metabolism for the whole day ahead. More importantly, however, in addition to hydrating and caffeinating the body, these liquids will act as a subconscious habit cue that lets the body know it's time to start the routine. So I recommend just kind of chugging down that full glass of water and then sipping the hot, yummy beverage a little more slowly as you work your way through this routine. And now, just a quick tip that's actually very, very crucial to your success with this routine. Whatever you do not check your phone, your tablet, or your computer before or during this routine. If need be, put your phone on airplane mode, leave all buzzing devices in another room, put on a timer, do whatever you need to do to prevent yourself from checking your electronics, or I promise you, this will not work if you do. These devices are highly engineered to keep you engaged and addicted, so do yourself a big favor and just keep them turned off or out of sight for all of this. Okay. Step 2, focus the mind. This step is where we start to declutter the mind and cultivate presence. For this step, you'll choose daily between one of two focused boosting activities. That's meditation or journaling, both of which have been proven to increase mindfulness and introspection while reducing anxiety and stress. Both activities help you shift from passivity to actively engaging with your thoughts, your attitudes, your choices, and that's a process that will set the stage for meaningful prioritization of your day and, ultimately your life. In other words, these activities promote the self-awareness necessary to manage overwhelm, sharpen focus, and enter the state of flow necessary for optimal productivity. So you may opt to stick with one of these two activities for the entire 3 weeks, or you can kind of toggle between the two depending on your mood. So if you choose to journal, there's really no right way to do it. It can be stream of consciousness, or you can kind of use it to actively work through decisions and clarify perspectives. If you choose to meditate, you can simply sit in silence if you're an experienced meditator, or if you're newer to the practice, there are a ton of great apps that allow for offline listening. All right. Step 3, activate the body. Movement not only energizes the body, it also naturally energizes the mind and boosts creativity. When the body is in motion, blood and oxygen are driven to the brain, improving cognitive function, particularly in the area of the brain that's responsible for decision making and reasoning. So, this step will provide you with a natural energy boost and set the stage for optimal focus and cognitive clarity. So, as with step 2, you'll choose between two options of movement here. You can do a brisk walk or you can do 5 minutes of stretching. Also, if you like to work out in the mornings, you can always swap out this step for some strength training or cardio, which will only further enhance this step's positive effects. So, weather permitting, though, a 5 minute brisk walk around the block can do wonders for your body and brain. Just be sure to leave the phone behind and use the walk as an extension of your mindfulness practice from the previous step. If you choose instead to do some stretching, there are a plethora of apps and videos that offer incredible instruction, often for free. Or, of course, you could always freestyle. If you do choose to use an app or video, though, I recommend downloading content ahead of time for offline listening so you won't be tempted to check your email halfway through. Okay, step 4, do a brain dump. This is my favorite step. In this step, you'll create a master list of absolutely every task that needs to be completed in the near future. So, whatever to dos are floating around in your head, taking up space and causing you anxiety, get them down on paper. This list should combine professional and personal tasks. So, everything from input spreadsheet data to do the laundry. We waste such an exorbitant amount of mental space holding in our ever growing to do lists that we end up crowding out precious territory that could otherwise be used for reflection, introspection, and strategy. So once your mind is clear of all this mental clutter, you'll be more able to slip into that state of focused flow so you can give whatever's in front of you your full and undistracted attention. While it may be tempting to create this list on your phone slash computer slash tablet, I strongly discourage you from doing so because, again, these devices are distraction and overwhelm traps. It takes no more than a single ping to rip you away from your train of thought and launch you into the deep, dark rabbit hole of responding to messages and worrying about the unending pile of work that's building up as you take just this little bit of time for yourself. Instead, go old school. Grab an actual pen, actual paper. Also, challenge yourself to make the items on this list as actionable and achievable as possible. So often, when we're faced with a big project, we get overwhelmed with the enormity of the task at hand and we simply don't know where to start. So, it's imperative that your tasks be clearly defined and super manageable. So, I want you to transform any wishy washy, pie in the sky goals into a few concrete, accessible commitments. So, for example, instead of tasking yourself with write a blog article, which will take hours and include a lot of different steps, try brainstorm blog ideas or write introductory paragraph, something like that. Much more doable, right? Okay. Step number 5, final step, prioritize your day. So, over time, as you get better and better at decluttering your mind, you'll start to become more present to what's most important on any given day. And once that's the case, your stress will dissipate and your productivity will soar. Again, time is so easily wasted on all the trivial, non essential tasks that snowball throughout the day. The inconsequential emails, the distracting pings, the unnecessary text exchanges, leaving many folks to procrastinate and ignore the larger, more important items that bring the real results over time. If you're hellbent on accomplishing your goals, it's not enough to stay busy. Lord knows everyone is busy this day and age. Instead, you got to be effective. You got to prioritize. So, in this step, you'll look back over your brain dump and you'll rank each task on that brain dump from 1 to 3, with 1 being the most important and 3 being the least important. So your 1 tasks will spotlight your top priorities for the day, your 2 tasks will be prioritized if time allows, and your 3 tasks will give you a roadmap of what to put off until tomorrow if needed. Prioritization is key because at the end of the day, time is your most valuable asset. It's the only asset you can't get back. Money can be recouped, relationships can be mended, but time flies in one direction. This means you're going to have to protect it rigorously by prioritizing it fearlessly and stop wasting it on the projects and the people that don't deserve the most valuable thing that you possess. So, at this point, you might be wondering, why a morning routine? How exactly are these 30 minutes supposed to make me happy, healthy, and self accountable? So, to answer that question, we have to take a good look at the concept of motivation. And what better place to start than the seeming embodiment of motivation itself, the gym? So, think about your local fitness institution for a moment. Most likely a big box gym with motivational mantras smeared across its walls. So here's a little bit of insider insight for you. The gym has a sneaky little secret. In many ways, your gym actually understands you better than you understand yourself. And it even goes so far as to take a high stakes bet on that lack of self understanding. There always seems to be some kind of sign above the front desk screaming, "You're stronger than you think," or something like that. But despite the wide smiled front desk attendant who, beams at you with hope and encouragement, the folks who finance the very floors on which you strut understand that statistically, you are not stronger than you think. On the contrary, the data indicates that you are, in fact, less strong than you think, or at least less motivated. Your gym understands this so well that its very business model is built upon your reliably crappy motivation. It doles out memberships like high protein candy bars, all the while knowing that were every member to actually visit the gym as often as they think they will, the gym would be so crowded it would resemble the Times Square ball drop on New Year's Eve. So, what happens instead is that the gym gets overly crowded for about 1 week every year, starting January 1st, and then tapers off after that as motivations wane and the distractions of life just overpower the will to work out. So, to sum it up, motivation is unreliable and your gym knows it. This really speaks to the most frustrating misconception about motivation. Most people assume it's a necessary precursor to action. You feel motivated to do a thing, and then you go and do that thing. Simple enough, right? So, in turn, they wait to hit the gym until they feel motivated to work out. They also may wait to tackle a big project until they feel motivated to start. Or they wait to have a difficult conversation until they're in the right headspace to engage. While this approach certainly works and works very well, it puts a whole lot of pressure on a flimsy and unreliable feeling, motivation. Thus, gym memberships go unused, big projects get pushed to the absolute last second, and difficult conversations never happen. Waiting for motivation will more often than not end up as accidental procrastination. However, there is an antidote to accidental procrastination: action. Counterintuitive though it may seem, action often breeds motivation, not the other way around. So start running, and suddenly you'll feel more motivated to keep going. Start working on that big project, and suddenly you'll feel more focused and engaged. Start having that difficult conversation, and suddenly the resolution will become more clear. Waiting for motivation leads to stagnation, whereas action creates motivation naturally. To wait to feel motivated is to set yourself up for soul crushing disappointment. But to take action in spite of motivation is to start manufacturing it out of thin air, like magic. So just start doing something, anything. Doesn't even have to be the right move or in the right order. Simply acting upon a goal, whatever that goal may be, will organically lead to more clarity and more action. When we talk about inner accountability, this is really what we're talking about. Inner accountability is the ability to take action without the need for motivation. It's your ability to follow through on the things you want to say, the things you say you want to do with motivation or without it. Whether that means waking up at 6 a.m. to go for a morning run or starting your own pillow business, selling pillows that resemble fresh skin on salmon fillets, which is a real actual product you can buy on Amazon for the low, low price of $19.99, which I find to be hilarious and so very bizarre. I mean, come on, guys, look at those pillows. Someone is actually getting wealthy off of those pillows. But I digress. Accountability to self is how people get healthy. It's how they stop procrastinating. It's how they accomplish goals and get results. Giving your word to yourself that you will or won't do something and trusting yourself to follow through on that word is, in many ways, the difference between where you are right now and where you'd like to be in life. And the beauty of becoming self accountable is that this process delivers exponential results. The more you trust yourself to follow through on one thing, the more effortless it becomes on all things, creating a ripple effect across your whole life. So over time, small changes inevitably lead to much bigger changes because once you trust yourself to follow through, everything becomes possible. So, this is where the morning routine comes in. Not only will the routine itself make you healthier, happier, and more productive, more importantly, it will provide you with a whole new level of trust in yourself as each and every day you prove that you're capable of following through on the promises you make to yourself. And this trust is far more valuable than anything you could possibly accomplish during this time because your beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of will forever change. Your actions will perpetuate new beliefs, and your beliefs will perpetuate new actions in this never ending cycle of unstoppable productivity by tapping into the root cause of what holds you back. So, over time, you may start to notice you procrastinate less. You understand yourself better. And more importantly, you trust yourself to follow through on any goal you set, no matter how lofty or seemingly impossible. You'll start to become more fearless, more resourceful, more confident. It starts as a little morning routine, but it ends up as your absolute best life. So, this is my challenge for you. Try this routine out for 5 days a week for 3 weeks straight and see how it goes. And while I can basically guarantee that it will make you feel better and bring you more success in your professional and personal life, the proof's in the pudding. And I really want you to test drive this for yourself. And if it works for you, you'll be well on your way to making 2021 the year where you stop putting things off and finally start to really, truly live. And if you don't, well, then you can join the other 92% of people who will try this whole shebang all over again next year. So there it is. And in the spirit of the holiday season, I have a little gift for each and every one of you who showed up today, a complimentary half-hour coaching session and customized action plan to help you implement all your goals for the new year. And if you take me up on this, which I certainly hope you will, the only requirement is that you promise me, that you give your word to me, that you will stay committed to your goals no matter what, that you will take action with or without motivation. So just text the words "I'm in" to 929-350-1335, and we'll take it from there. You can also find me at healthontherocks.com and on Instagram at the handle at healthontherocks, one word, no hyphens. So pretty please do not become one of the 92% of people who ditch their New Year's resolutions by March. Instead, be one of the 8% this year, the small but powerful percentage of individuals who stick to their guns, overcome procrastination, and get what they want from life starting now. So again, just text the words "I'm in" to that number right there for your complimentary coaching session and customized action plan. And if you'd like to learn more about accountability coaching, you can head over to healthonTheRocks.com. I offer weekly and bi-weekly coaching sessions over Zoom that also include personalized action plans and accountability check-ins throughout the week to hold your feet to the fire and hold you accountable every single day. I'm really passionate about one-on-one coaching because what coaching really does is it helps you maximize your potential in order to achieve extraordinary results. It's sort of like a paved bridge between where you are now and where you'd like to be in your life, your career, your health, all of it. It's sort of like therapy for your future. So instead of deconstructing your past, coaching looks forward to help you architect the life of your dreams. And, sometimes it can just be nice to have an accountability buddy. Okay, so now we're going to open it up for Q&A. Does anyone have any questions about the routine or personal accountability in general? You can throw it on the chat box, or you can mic yourself and ask me directly. And one little thing I do want to add here is, on top of the questions, if anyone wants to share a goal or resolution they have for the new year, just keep in mind that saying it aloud boosts your accountability, and it literally makes you 42% more likely to follow through. So with that, I'm going to open it up. Does anyone want to pop in here?
I'll pop in.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for that, Casey. That was awesome. I feel pumped up.
Good.
I'll share my goal, because that percent, 42%, that got me. I am trying to write a novel that I've been trying to write for like 2 years now, and yeah, I keep keep getting blocked because it's just become so huge. uh I want to put like everything in it. So yeah, that's my goal. And just your advice of just starting something to do with that, uh I think is great advice. Like, not even writing the novel, I could write around it, or like do some other exercises. So very helpful.
Beautiful. I love that. I love your commitment to just starting because again, this stuff snowballs. And if you wait until you feel totally clear about, exactly what the novel is going to be, you'll just never start. But if you start, even if you end up throwing away all of the good work you do, at least you'll gain more focus and more clarity, and you're that much closer to actualizing the goal. That first tiny little step is so, so huge. Thank you for sharing that, Mac. I really appreciate it. Anyone else want to be
Totally.
brave and jump in here? Bueller, Bueller.
Oh, yeah. I think we have some questions in the chat actually that I can read off.
Great. Okay.
Um, can you hear me okay? Cool. All right. So Taylor says, I always get on board with motivational routines, but fall off eventually. Do you have any advice when that happens, when you fall off routines?
Yes. So that's what happens to everyone. And that's why 92% of people don't make it happen because they're fully relying on motivation. And eventually it's going to go away. And then that means that they end up stopping the routine. So I talked a little bit about habit. I would have loved to talk about it a little more, but I wanted to keep this really condensed for you guys. So, habit is really what we're after here because habit makes everything feel effortless. It makes it feel second nature and it doesn't require motivation. It doesn't require willpower. So habits exist in what we call a loop. So it starts with a cue, some sort of subconscious habit cue that kind of launches you into the routine. It puts you into the routine itself. And then there's some sort of reward on the other side of it. So, what this morning routine does is it creates a habit loop that will set your day up for success and kind of improve your motivation naturally. And if you can habituate that, it becomes so much more easy to follow through on anything else you want to do with or without motivation because you're kind of, manufacturing it out of thin air every single day. So instead of relying on motivation, just understand it's okay. You can cut yourself a break. You're not going to feel motivated the entirety of this year, but know that if you do set up some habits that lay the foundation for continued motivation, everything else becomes a lot easier. Also, that mindset shift can be really key. Just understanding that you will not feel motivated for the entire year and giving yourself permission to feel kind of crappy and do the thing anyway, oftentimes can kind of solve the problem right at its source. So if you just head in with the mindset of, I don't want to do this and I'm going to do it anyway, then you force yourself to do it, you create beautiful habits, and then you can just kiss motivation goodbye. I hope that answers your question. Thanks for that, Taylor.
Awesome. Okay. So Maria asked, she'd like to start a business this year, but suffers from doubt and fear of rejection. What type of routine would help decrease those feelings?
Yes, great question. Also, part of procrastination that a lot of people don't talk about is kind of the emotional element of procrastination. Sometimes that fear of rejection will make a million excuses to not have to actively engage with that and move through it and produce things that could eventually be judged negatively. So, the practice in this morning routine that's going to be most helpful for that in particular is the journaling and the meditation. Because what you're doing is you're moving away from passivity and moving towards actively engaging with your thoughts, your beliefs, your moods, your behaviors. And that self awareness will help you move through these things. So, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm not sure there's ever a world in which you're going to feel 100% confident all the time, where you're just never going to have that doubt, where you're going to be able to bravely move forward every day. But what you do have control over is managing that. And that's really what meditation and journaling help with, is they help you kind of actively engage with those negative thoughts and beliefs and behaviors that kind of crowd out the other thinking that could actually be helpful and productive. Hope that answers that question. Great. Okay, thumbs up. Love it.
Okay. So Karen asked, I have the hardest time taking the first step to take action. Advice on how to move from inaction to action, that first step?
Yep. I agree. It's definitely the hardest step. but the way you can make it a little more easy is by taking off all of the pressure of having to get it right. So just take one step. So like Mac was saying, writing a novel sounds really overwhelming and terrifying, but just sitting down and, writing stream of consciousness for 15 minutes, that sounds a lot more doable. So if you kind of take that first step off the pedestal of this has to be a perfect product or I have to use this thing to get results, just focus on the process of it. Focus on doing anything. Again, even if it's not the right step, even if it's not in the right order, even if that first step is complete crap and you end up scrapping it, just do one thing, anything. And then by following through on that, again, you start to build that self-efficacy muscle, that ability to trust yourself to follow through, and it makes every subsequent step much, much easier.
Sweet. Okay. And then Beth asked, do you think it's difficult that we do the morning routine the same way every day?
So I actually do recommend that you do it at the same time, in the same order, the same way every single
Mm.
day. And that's because if you can start doing it that way, it's more likely to become habit. Again, that cue, routine, reward thing I was talking about, it's built into this routine. And if you can start to make that kind of subconscious connection between waking up in the morning and doing this thing, after 3 weeks, you'll be a whole lot closer to just getting out of bed and doing it without having to self-motivate, without it feeling hard, or you take out the decision making process. It's just something you do. It's habit. It's second nature. You don't have to kind of will yourself out of bed. That said, you
Makes
can do it
sense.
another way. It just will take longer to become a habit.
Mm, gotcha. Yeah, she also asked if you recommend 5 or 7 days. But I believe you said five,
Yeah.
at
Again,
least
it's that
starting.
habit thing because usually on the weekends we are off our routines. They're kind of a little more willy-nilly, but the weekdays you have a lot more control. At least most people do over what happens during the mornings during the weekdays. So if your routine is kind of the same every single day, definitely go for it. But sometimes interrupting the routine, trying to translate it into Saturday and Sunday morning can kind of make the whole habit thing null and void. So,
Mm, the weekend off.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that finishes it up for the chat questions. I don't know if anyone else has questions they just want to unmic and ask.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to share a goal and become 42% more
Right.
likely to follow through, now's your space.
I already feel 42%
I
more
guess
likely.
I have a question. Hello, everyone. I saw the first step is to drink the water and have the cup of coffee. I actually do the other steps before I even get upstairs to do coffee and water. But do you think
Mm.
that that actual drinking of the water sort of starts the body going?
Oh, uh-oh. Nicole, you cut out for a sec. Okay. We can't hear you, Nicole, but I'm going to go ahead and
Wait,
answer the
okay,
first part of your question. Oh, I can hear you now.
good.
What was the second half?
Well, I said I guess to put my phone on airplane mode because both my meditation and my workouts are on my phone. So I do go to my phone, but I do think that's a great tip because as soon as I go to my phone, then I can go to Instagram and start scrolling, and that takes up time. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for those questions, Nicole. I like it. Like very real, practical questions that are so necessary to all of this. So as far as the airplane mode goes, I get it. Sometimes we have to be digitally connected to engage with our workouts and our meditations and all of that. But if there is any way where you can download these things ahead of time for offline listening, offline viewing, it just helps remove Instagram and email and any other potential distraction that could come into your way. So it's not a deal breaker, but you're just definitely setting yourself up for much more success if you can download the stuff ahead of time. In terms of the coffee thing, So I kind of have two feelings about this because it's interesting that you want to put it at the end because I kind of like the sort of cue routine reward of that. Like the reward for getting through all of it is your coffee. You always got to have that little dangling carrot at the end of this routine to keep you kind of naturally engaged with it. So I actually don't dislike that idea of kind of staying downstairs and then making going upstairs for coffee the reward. But that said, you wake up pretty dehydrated in the morning. So a glass of water is definitely going to help rehydrate you, jumpstart your metabolism, get you a little more focused. And the caffeine is going to make you a little more attentive. And also, there's kind of an inherent reward in caffeine because it feels good and you start to get naturally energized. That's kind of a good way to help yourself ease yourself into this routine. So, I mean, I kind of like both ways. I don't think one or the other is necessarily going to be better. I would recommend experimenting with both and seeing, what kind of works better for you. Yeah, thank you for that. That was yeah, kind of an interesting take on this. And I'm going to noodle on that. I'm going to keep thinking on that.
Awesome question. Karen asked, drink all that water at once, 62 to 32, chug it at once?
Okay, it's a lot of water. So you don't necessarily have to chug it all at once. But what I've found in this routine is if I don't chug at least a significant amount of water at the beginning, I get like really into the coffee part of this and I just forget to drink it entirely. So I would just say get down as much of it as you can and keep the glass there to kind of force yourself to at least hydrate while you're caffeinating because caffeine is inherently dehydrating. So.
Mm.
Okay, I'm seeing some questions in the chat
Okay.
box.
Yep. Maria is asking, what should we do when you become too hard on yourself and begin to chastise yourself, for the mistakes, which I can relate to.
Good Lord, can't we all? Yeah, that's a really great question, Maria. And I think you are not alone in dealing with that. And, kind of like I said earlier, I'm not sure that, the insecurity or the being hard on yourself is ever going to go away entirely. That's not always something you have full control over. But what you do have control over is your ability to manage it. And self awareness is really key to this process. And that's why I like the meditating and the journaling and just, kind of having more of a conversation with yourself around that. Because if your brain's left to its own devices, we all have this thing called negativity bias, where we all kind of obsess about all of the bad stuff that's going on in our lives and all the mean things people say to us. And in doing that, we crowd out a lot of the things that are going well in our lives, the things that we're grateful for, the nice things that people say to us. So left to its own devices, you're just going to probably be a bit negative all the time. But if you can start having more of a conversation with yourself and catch yourself in those moments of just being really mean and hard on yourself, you can say, okay, well, listen, yes, that might be true, but this is also true. And this is also valid. And that kind of back and forth is how you get really good at managing the insecurity. So I hope that helps. That was like a lot of CBT stuff in 2 minutes. So if that doesn't make full sense, that's okay. But kind of an overview of the process of that.
Love it. Beth shared she's going to create an online course on Teachable. Go, Beth. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. All right, Beth. Go, girl. Yay.
Yeah. Claps. And then Brienne asked, she doesn't drink caffeine or tea. She said, is water okay on its own? You mentioned a hot water with lemon in it as an alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. So hot water with lemon is really great. So I still recommend having the regular glass of water, but then on top of that, doing a cup of hot water with lemon, which is kind of naturally detoxifying. At one point in my 20s, I did a whole like getaway. I lived on an ashram and I ate the whole Ayurvedic lifestyle and I would do hot water with lemon in the mornings. And I found it to be kind of naturally energizing. I still miss coffee, but it was kind of a nice substitute. So that's what I recommend.
Yeah. And there's something like ritualistic about like the hot water that I think is like a good
Yes.
cue as you're.
Yeah, and it's kind of inherently comforting, some sort of hot beverage in the morning, especially this time of year, you know?
Right. Totally. Great questions, guys.
Okay, is there anyone else that feels brave and wants to share a goal for this year? Not to put you on the spot.
Hmm.
Hi, my name is Lynn. My camera is off
Oh,
because I'm
good.
in
No
bed,
problem.
um, being lazy. Um, my goal is to do yoga teacher training.
Mm,
Ooh,
So
great.
yes, I don't want to share it with none of my friends because I always
Um,
say that I want to do it and I never get to do it. And
mm.
I'm just joining the rest of the group in sharing their goals.
So,
Totally.
Lynn, thank you so much for sharing that. Do you mind if I ask you a little question about it?
Sure.
Okay, what would the first step be to making this goal a reality?
Submitting my application.
Okay, so do you have a particular training in mind?
I've been researching.
Oh, okay, so you've already taken the first step. You've already been researching it. Okay, so then it sounds like the next step would be to just pull the trigger and submit an application. So here's the question: do they make you pay or commit to submit the application, or could you just kind of do it and see if it gets accepted?
They have scholarships, so I'm trying to see if I could apply first for the scholarship and then apply for the application because I have to
Great.
pay for the application.
Okay, so then the next step then is really to just apply for the scholarship.
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel committed to doing that?
I have a problem with my morning routine since I'm working at home since March. I like to sleep a lot and be in bed.
Okay,
So
so
that's why I joined your meeting
okay,
today.
great. Well, so then I would challenge you to try out this morning routine and, maybe today, sometime this week, just take that next step with applying for financial aid for the yoga program. And again, it doesn't sound like you have to commit fully. Just taking that next step will help you feel accomplished enough to kind of, manage whatever comes up or comes out of it.
Yes, thank you. And for the
All
ladies,
right.
we're mentioning social media. What I did was that I turned off my TVs and I deactivated every single one of my social media accounts. So
All
I
right.
only get on Eventbrite to see for activities like this one, things that would help me improve myself. And that's all I've been doing because I wasted a lot of years just watching social media.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Anyone else have a goal that they want to share? Also, Hillary, I just noticed you're on. Good to see you, Hillary.
Hi, I was actually just gonna unmute myself.
Oh, great.
Good to see you. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know. Been a couple years.
It
You look
has been.
great.
Thank you. My goal for this year is to move to New York. So we'll be
Ah,
neighbors soon.
okay. Well, hit me up when you get here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Will do.
Awesome.
Awesome. Very exciting. Anyone
And
else?
just
Anyone
to
feel inspired or emboldened?
Brienne shared she wants to get a web developer, designer, or graphic design job that she can work remotely and travel at the same time. Hell yeah.
Woo! I love that. All
Cheers.
right.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Okay. Well, maybe
Awesome.
take one more if anyone wants to be the final brave soul. This can also be a question as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Maybe not today. All right, guys. Well, thank you again
Awesome.
so much for your focus and your attention today. We're going to send you a little follow-up email where I'm just going to recap all of these steps of the routine so you kind of have it in one place. There will also be a replay if you guys want to watch it again or share it. And as mentioned, please, please, please take me up on my little holiday gift to you. I'd love to chat with you one-on-one. That's really where this stuff starts to become really effective, is when I can chat with you one-on-one and we can go through your specific situation and, all of the intricacies of your life and get you on the right track. So I hope to see you guys again, and